Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, so the idea of the application is the following. The world is full of promises which people constantly making each other. And sometimes these promises fulfilled, sometimes rejected, but majority of them is just lost. And this project tries to solve the issue by tracking promises, so person can make any promises and other guys can vote on the progress. Now I have 3 browsers opened because I'm going to use 3 different accounts to demonstrate how it works. UI is extra ugly because, you know, this is just a demo. So I have 3 users. And let's say this one is gonna promise to be good. Let's see how it works. So here in the section I promise, we have the promises which currently logged in user made. And here we have promises which other people made. So if we take a look at this user or this user, they can see that Elder ORB testnet made a promise with a name to be good, and let's vote. This one will vote yes, this one will vote no. And eventually, this user can see that he is not so good. He's like 50% good. Yeah. Also, it's possible to make a private promise. Like, for example, I promise to be brave, and I'm gonna promise this only to Bravio testnet. It's possible to specify a list here, but for simplicity, I will use just one account.
Oh, sorry.
And nothing happening because this is demo time. No, it works. So as you can see, this one do not see this particular promise because this is not Bravio. And Bravio can see that Elder ORB made a promise exclusively to him. Well, he do not know that this is exclusively to him, but he knows that this is a non-public promise and that the number of participants is 1. So he can guess that this is private to him. Again, it's possible to vote, and the system is built in such a way that only last vote is taken into account. So you can vote as many times as you like. I mean, I can press like yes, 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 but votes count still will be like 1 yes. But it also allows to change the vote, because one of use cases I kept in mind is tracking promises which made by politicians. So let's say during election times, they promised this, but after a year, who knows how will it go. So that is why system allows to revote. So that's it from the UI perspective. From the code perspective, it's pretty simple. We have just class promise, which have counters for yes and no, which have timestamp, which have map of votes, where the key is address of particular account, which prevents the same account from voting infinite number of times. It also has some kind of permissions which required to implement private promises handling. In fact, I separated viewers from voters, but UI do not present this for simplicity again, but the idea was that probably all the world might be interested in observing how this particular voting happening, but only a few people allowed to vote. Anyway, this is implementation details, not very interesting. Here we have get promises function, which accept parameter. I named it target, maybe a wrong name, doesn't really matter. But the idea is that the function allows to provide promises for account which made these promises or for other guys. So
5 minutes.
Sorry, what?
Just saying 5 minutes left. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. I will keep it short. So independently on what account is calling this function, it can ask promises for myself or for others. Promises for myself is the promises which this account created. Promises for others is promises which other guys made, or promises where this particular account is belongs to viewers. So he can actually view other promises, even non-public. Also, it's possible to vote, of course. Here we have some checks, like promise, of course, needs to be valid, and so on. We also check based on permissions whether whether this particular account is allowed to vote, or if this promise is public, he is also allowed to vote. And we have the logic which actually allows to revote. It analyzes previous state, it analyzes current state of vote. If they differs, then it adjusts number of yes votes and no votes. Yeah, we also have two functions for creation promises, because originally I made it in very simple way. So originally there was only function make promise. To keep it simple, I decided, and also to not break anything just before the demo, I decided to introduce another function for handling private promises handling. It allows to specify two extra parameters, list of viewers and list of voters. And of course, if voter is not among viewers, it gets added to viewers list by smart contract itself, because it doesn't really make sense to allow people to vote without allowing them to view, at least from my perspective. And finally, the function just for debug, allowing to clear all the promises. Now let's go to tests. I implemented like maybe, 14 of them. Tests like disallow to make promise on behalf. Yeah, I also forgot to mention that nearly each function have a check where predecessor and sorry, forgot this name. Anyway, the idea is to disallow some smart contract to vote on behalf of real people. So only real person can vote using this application. And this is exactly the test against this scenario. Yeah, actually 14 tests, not very interesting. I can execute them, but of course they are passing. Actually, that's it from me. Will not, sorry, what did happen just? Yeah, because I executed it on wrong folder. Just a second. I will use the time left for describing potential improvements. I spent some time trying to figure out how to implement private voting. It turned out to be not trivial at all, but I have some ideas. For example, service like Tornado Cash can be used for inspiration, where, let's say, each voting person would get some, let's say, token back, and this token will be used later for zero knowledge proof. Well, actually, this is out of scope for this demo. So let me finish
30
right
seconds.
here. Yeah. So I'm done.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.